Oh, wow. I mean, this judge, his name is Juan Merchant, and he just issued a gag order. Do we have the New York Times story? I mean, this is unbelievable. He comes out with this gag order, and that's the big story. And he's going to prevent the former president from talking against him or any members of his family, as well as the DA's family. That's a little normally you'd be like, okay, well, it's really not great. The former president is targeting the daughter of this particular judge. I mean, that was my first reaction, right? And before I looked into it, full disclosure, I was like, oh gosh, what's he doing? What's he doing? All I can say is he has absolutely every right to bring up these issues, and all of us need to actually scream from here to kingdom come about what's going down with this judge at this moment in time. Because I'm sorry, Buster, you don't have a conflict like this and proceed. You recuse yourself. That is the ethical thing to do, but apparently nobody has any ethics these days. Judge Merchant, let me start with what he issued. The average observer must now, after hearing defendants' recent attacks, draw the conclusion that if they become involved in these proceedings, even tangentially, that they should not worry not only for themselves, they should worry not only for themselves, but for their loved ones as well. This is again according to Mr. Juan Merchant. Such concerns would undoubtedly interfere with the fair administration of justice and constitutes a direct attack on the rule of law itself. Maybe we wouldn't have these issues if you weren't so clearly lacking in ethics yourself. I go on. The issue is not complicated. Alvin Bragg's team wrote in response. This is a DA. Family members of trial participants must be strictly off limits. Defendants' insistence to the contrary bespeaks a dangerous sense of entitlement to instigate fear and even physical harm to the loved ones of those he sees in the courtroom. Okay, let's talk about who the loved ones are. So the judge has a daughter. And the judge's daughter, I'm going to give some credit to Laura Loomer, who actually was first reporting on this, and the president sent out some of her tweets. New York Post picked it up. Do we have that, Drew? We can show folks? The daughter, because I want you to see her, her name is Lauren Merchant. So again, I'm first seeing this story, and you know me, I'm a nice person. I want to make sure she's an adult. I'm she's not like a kid, right? She's not a teenager. No. She's an adult with a pretty powerful, prestigious company that she runs. It's actually an organization that's a Democrat consulting firm. And she does work for the likes of Kamala Harris and Adam Schiff. Remember, main attraction at the Schiff show? The guy who wanted us to believe all that nonsense about the dossier, who said that the Russians stole the election in 2016. Yeah, that Adam Schiff. Okay, so she runs this big deal, swanky, Democratic consulting firm. Again, look, we're not all responsible for our family members, and family does what family does. However, if you're the judge, Juan Merchant in this case, don't you think you might say this might be perceived as just a little bit of a conflict, given that two major Democratic clients of the daughter of the judge overseeing this particular hush money trial have raised at least $93 million in campaign donations and used this case in their solicitation of emails. I'm going to quote the New York Post. It says, raising renewed concerns that the jurist and the judge in this case has a major conflict of interest. So Trump's attorneys are firing back. They're looking at filing another motion demanding that the Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Juan Merchant recuse himself from the trial, which is set to begin in a matter of days on April 15th. Well, clearly, he ought to recuse himself. I mean, how is this even possible? She runs this swanky thing called Authentic Campaigns, based out of Chicago. Ooh, good old Chicago. what did they say there? Vote early and often? A Chicago-based progressive political consulting firm whose top clients include Representative Adam Schiff, who was the lead prosecutor in Trump's first impeachment trial, and the Senate Majority PAC, a major party fundraiser. I mean, it goes on. This is unbelievable to me. They actually typed out emails. I mean, so understandably, Trump's like, what the HEWL? You know, in some ways, he's kind of fortuitous because this is so bad that once again, the American public's like, are you kidding me? I mean, for those that understand, again, if you're like watching on the periphery, you might think, oh, you know, he's attacking the judge's daughter. Well, what the heck is the judge thinking? Taking a case like this with the appearance of impropriety because his daughter's entire livelihood is dependent on something like this. She makes money off of something like this. He wrote on Truth Social, I'll just read it to you. Judge Juan Merchant, a very distinguished looking man, gave him that anyway, is nevertheless a true and certified Trump hater who suffers from a very serious case of Trump derangement syndrome. In other words, he hates me, exclamation point. He put this on Truth Social and he went on to say his daughter is a senior executive at a super liberal Democrat firm that works for Adam Schiff. I believe he called him Adam Shifty Schiff, the Democratic National Committee, the Democrat Senate Majority PAC, and even Biden. So that's a little uncomfortable. I mean, you can understand why you would, right, recuse yourself in a situation like that if you're the judge. Judge Merchant's family is obviously heavily involved in politics. Apparently, it's not just the daughter, the mother. She actually used to be involved too. That would be Lara Merchant. So this is actually courtesy of our friend Laura Loomer, who's going to be on the show tomorrow, by the way, who's been digging around the internet and found this one, that she had held a job as special assistant to the Attorney General from 2008 to 2022. Okay, so these people are very political people. I think that's the point here. So what do we do in an environment like this? What do we do when we have a highly politicized case with the former president of the United States right there before us? Do we really say, yeah, that's fine. I can just, separate church and state. There's a big Chinese wall in my family. You don't. No, because if nothing else, you know that the media is going to pick up on this. So if nothing else, even if let's assume you're the best guy in the world, but you're going to get Trump and you're going to make his life miserable. From here till eternity, half the country is going to assume it was because you were a biased SOB, okay? Like that is, I'm sorry, no other way you're going to slice that one. So what do you do if you actually want to preserve and maintain the belief and expectation of having some kind of morality? You get off the case. You give it to somebody else who doesn't have these conflicts of interest. Judge, it's not that hard. You're a judge, for God's sakes. You should care about fairness. You should care about the appearance of impropriety. I don't care if you're never going to talk to your daughter about anything. The fact that she's campaigning off of your case with her lefty politicians is just wrong. The fact that they're making $93 million off of email campaigns using this case as an example. I mean, that is just so fundamentally wrong. So her company, when she got the gig, announced that Lauren Merchant, president and partner of Authentic Campaigns, and Taylor Harper, geographer at the U.S. Census. Oh, no, forgive me. This is a wedding announcement. This is how we know this is the same woman, okay? So this is a Politico wedding announcement that came out in June 2022. She got married a couple years ago. So she is head of Authentic Campaigns, and she married another guy in Moseley, Virginia. And the ceremony was officiated by the bride's father, New York County Supreme Court Justice Juan Merchant. And so now we can go through her client list. She's got Vice President Kamala Harris's 2020 presidential campaign, Kamala Harris for the People, the Biden-Harris campaign, the Schiff's Super Political Action Committee, PAC. They're all clients. This is not good. I mean, this is really, 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 really not good. Schiff's campaign for U.S. Senate scored an eye-popping $20 million in aid since he began soliciting donations off the presumptive GOP presidential frontrunner's unprecedented 34-count indictment last April. This is according to Federal Election Commission records. So you see, he's out there trading off of this. And the guy who's going to make the decision, well, he's the father of the woman who's writing the freaking emails, okay? Like, it's wrong. It is so wrong. And don't give me this, well, you know, she's a woman, she ought to have her own career. Yeah, fine. She has her career. Her dad needs to recuse himself. Let her go have her career. She can do all the email writing she wants. But daddy, no. You got to take a hike. Okay, you got it. You got to sit this one out. And if you don't sit this one out, I should hope to God that the Trump lawyers are smart and they take this to the next level, because any which way you slice it, even if you hate Trump and you're super pro-Biden, this is not good for you either, because no one's going to respect the decision of a guy whose daughter makes her living getting people to commit $10 because of her dad's case to Adam Schiff. It's crazy. I mean, here's a story about the emails themselves and how one of them read, "We must continue protecting our Senate majority from GOP extremists. Please rush in $10. It becomes $60 to defend the Senate." So that's one of their Senate campaigns. They've also got this from Schiff. He had an email that began, quote, "It is a somber moment and unprecedented for a former president to be indicted, but his alleged offenses are also unprecedented. Trump will respond as he always does, playing the victim and blaming others for having the temerity to investigate him in the first place." And then he goes on, he's like, $10, please. I mean, crazy. I mean, unbelievable. They are trying to raise money off of this. Her firm is raising money off of this. There is a total basis for the recusal. You know, I'm not a lawyer, but you know who is? Alan Dershowitz. And I'm going to quote him. Quote, "There seems to be a basis for recusal of the father. Under the law, close relationships can sometimes constitute. You see, I'm emotional about this. A basis for recusal. He's got to recuse himself. I'm sorry. This is like one of the most offensive things I've seen. I mean, besides doing work over in Ukraine for a company that you know nothing about and making $83,000 a month at it, all while your dad is in charge of the policy for Ukraine. That's pretty egregious. But this is up there too. I mean, this actually might take the cake. This is so crazy, you guys. I mean, absolutely crazy. I'm just disgusted by it. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. I think I'm just naive sometimes. I still kind of think like there's some good people out there. And then I see how seedy it is and how political it is. And I'm disappointed in our country.